Just a quick one before we dive in. I've just opened up 2 brand new ways to work with me. If you're an established beauty professional who's ready to increase your revenue, either in your clinic or by moving into the online mentoring and educational space, you can join me for a 2-month container where we build and validate your first online offer or your next big move. Or if you're ready to go all in, there is a 7-month private mentorship where we build, launch and scale your new revenue stream together. If you're not sure which one's right for you, I'm offering a handful of free business clarity calls, quick and powerful to map out your fastest path and to see which container fits best. Just DM me the word revenue on Instagram or check the link in the show notes and email me. Let's get into the episode.
Welcome to the Beauty Build podcast with me, Zara King. As a coach for beauty pros, it is my mission to help you earn more, work less, and create an unstoppable mindset. This is the show where we explore all of that. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting your beauty business, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and join us on the journey. And for more, get yourself inside my private community, The Beauty Build on Facebook.
Hello, you gorgeous person, you, and welcome back to another episode. I'm so excited to get into this today because honestly, you do not need 12-hour days to hit £1,000 weeks in your beauty business. And I just want you to know that straight away, straight off the bat, because I am actually proof of that. Okay. I was working on my own in my beauty room from home, earning more than that without a team and not doing 12-hour days. I was doing the hours whilst my kids were at school, and then I was doing all the school runs and doing all the fun stuff. And for a long while, I did do some evenings. And then even after that, I quit my evenings. I didn't work weekends anymore. And all I really did was built my business to work for me and stacked all of the best habits that would anchor me and my mindset into alignment with what I wanted and what I needed the business to provide me. So, like I've said before, I really want to keep things real with you on here. I want you to get into what it is that actually goes on, right? Because what's the point in me just telling you all the sort of like fun stuff and the highlights and the things that go well? I want you to know that when I was building my beauty business, yes, I made massive mistakes. And I had to learn all by myself, and I had to grow into the person that was ready to take risks and to take steps and make actions and whatever towards my goals. I wasn't always that person that was like, okay, this is the goal, I'm going to crack on and do it. I'm going to get help, I'm going to invest, I'm going to whatever to learn how to do this now. So I just want you to know that although I know all of this now, or I can speak to you about different habits to stack now, I want you to know that it wasn't always the case for me. And so if you're in a place where you're like, why didn't I think of that? Or, well, I don't really have that many positive habits that I, play a role in how I run my business, then don't worry about it. Just keep going, keep learning, keep tapping in. Like, you're here for a reason. And the reason you're here is to learn more about everything you need to know to be the best business owner in this industry, or any industry really. If you want to carry on and learn about different things, go for it. But I just want you to know that obviously it was never always this way. But like I said, habits are absolutely everything. Why? Because in my opinion, and in all of the research, in fact, every single piece of research that I've ever done about habits, it always comes back to the fact that if we create habits in our lives, it doesn't matter if we stay motivated, because we do things on autopilot. And I don't know if you felt this way. I'm sure you have. Let me know. If you're not following me on Instagram, by the way, it's at Zara King. Message me about this. When you do things habitually, you have so much more space for other things that your motivation doesn't matter as much. It's more about the discipline. And let's just talk about motivation for a minute. You'll realize, and you'll know, and drop into my DMs about this, motivation comes and goes. Even now that you see me doing different things in this industry with different people, I'm not always motivated. I will wake up in the morning sometimes and I will think, today's not the day. I'd love it to be the day, but it isn't the day. So then I have to get up, do my habits, and it's the habits that I put into action that sparks a little bit more discipline, that sparks a little bit more creativity. Maybe I will do something in the morning for my routine, i.e. go for a run or come home and have a really healthy breakfast. And although I woke up in a crappy mood, nearly swore, I will, in fact, I could have sworn, even though I woke up in a crap mood, I will have moved that around because of my habits. So let me know, is there anything that you do in your day that you know, even if you feel a bit crap, that when you do it, it will like kind of kick you back into momentum, even though you're definitely not motivated. You know, people do talk about self-motivation. And I remember actually when I was younger and I was working in the corporate sales career that I had, I remember always being told that I was good at what I did and I was really self-motivated and all the rest of it. And actually, even looking back to then, it wasn't necessarily motivation. It was disciplines that I had in place and habits that I had in place that would just continue to keep me on the track that I was on. I wasn't always waking up motivated. I had a part-time beauty business on the side, mobile, that was running me into the ground because I was doing it all. I was knackered. And so I wasn't always motivated, actually. Sometimes I felt a little bit deathly. But I would continue to do what I did because I tracked things and I tracked habits. And that's really what I want to get into today, because this is what's going to build success for you. This is what's going to move your day into a successful day, and therefore your week, your month, your year. And it will define your level of success. So I don't know if you've heard the quotes as well. There are a few quotes, don't get me wrong, about habits, and I'm sure you've read some books and all of the rest of it. But we are what we repeatedly do. That is exactly true. We are what we repeatedly do. So what I want you to know today, I'm going to tap into some of my core habits, but I have 3 things that I tell my clients and my members to do every day, or I say to them, this is what I do every day. And they all change, but they're in these sort of categories. So I always make sure that I'm pouring into community. So I need to feel every day that I've contributed, and I need to look after my community as well. So it's like a sort of I get, but I give, because the community actually gives me like the best vibes ever, or going live gives me the best vibes ever, or helping somebody on a one-to-one call gives me such good vibes. That's the first thing, community. The second thing is my mindset. I need to work on my mindset every single day. So there are habits in place for that. And the third thing is my health, my physical health. So that might mean moving my body or eating well. And I'm going to get into some of them in a minute. But those are the 3 things that I think personally help me as an individual get to the success that I want to get to. And what I always say to the members is, if you let one slip, make sure the other 2 are really blooming strong, because the moment you let more than one of them slip, they can all slip. If you let your mindset go, you're probably not going to go and fill your cup up with community contributions or speaking to people and like sharing the love. If you don't do that, your mindset might dip. And if your mindset and you haven't done that is dipping, then you probably won't go and get the right healthy snack. So it's kind of like they can all have a knock-on effect. They can all lift each other up, but they can also, if one drops off, you have to be really vigilant. You have to be really aware of what's going on in your mind, if you like, and you need to be prepared to lift another one up. And again, this is why it's so much easier if you stack habits, because you don't let them slip. You remember these things when you chunk them into like little words, acronyms, lists, habits, this type of thing. So I have core daily habits, okay? And they have changed over time. They have completely changed over the years. In fact, they probably changed last week. They change all the time, these things that I do. And there's a little bit of a productivity hack for you coming up here as well, actually, because what I've also done is where I separate certain things in my life, like life and business or health, mindset, those kind of things. What I actually do, and I don't know if you have this on your phone too, I've got an iPhone. I've only got a 14 Pro Max. It's not the newest, but it's pretty much one of the in the last couple of years. And I go onto the reminders app, which is just inbuilt in iPhone. And I think there must be one for Android. And I create a list of reminders, but I always click on show completed. So I can just tick it off each day, but the following day, it's all there again and I can untick it and redo it. And what I do, this probably sounds to some people like a little bit ridiculous, but what I do is I go through, I tick off, and the following day I literally untick and redo, and I put them on my home screen. So I go on the home screen and I create a widget, the little widgets that you can do, and I just pull from the reminders app that specific list. And I've got lists for everything. And the reason I'm sharing it with you on this episode is because it's really good for habit stacking. And also, I told one of my members a few months ago now, in fact, it was a one-to-one. I told a one-to-one client of mine about this, and it was like life-changing for her, because she was just all over the place with didn't know what to do, whether it was paper, whether it was digital. And if you're a bit like me as well, where you are a mixture of having to have things digitally on your phone but also like to write things down, that is a really good thing to keep in one place, and just to have one of those things removed from your brain and removed from the paper mess that you create when you're writing lists and writing habit stacking to-do lists and stuff. I know how it gets messy. And so that was just a really good productivity hack. And so my core daily habits at the moment, bear in mind, like I said, they've changed. These are currently, the first thing is gratitude. Now, this is personal, by the way. This is about my mindset and health, okay? So this is all about personal, not about business at this point, but it does have a knock-on effect to the business. If I don't do this, I don't do what I should be doing for my business. So the first thing I do is gratitude. I practice gratitude every single day. And what I'll do is I will count my blessings. Now, I have to give credit where it's due here. I recently fell in love with the Law of Attraction Changed My Life podcast by Francesca Amber. Check it out. It is insanely good, and she's so down to earth, and I just love her so much. And she was talking about the book The Magic by Rhonda Byrne, and I've read The Secret, so I was like, this is great, we'll read The Magic, we'll do The Magic. And it's all based around gratitude. Now, if anyone ever has known me for a little while, you will already know that gratitude is a huge part of my life. And I always say to people that one thing that will take my mindset from negative to positive is gratitude. As soon as you say, I am so thankful for, you almost forget, and I just clicked there, you probably heard it, you will almost instantaneously forget what you were unhappy about. Literally, I was talking again on a one-to-one call the other week, and I was about to say something, and then I went, oh, I'm grateful. And then I completely forgot my negative trail of thought. That is how quickly it can shift you to positive. Now, this book, The Magic, you can get it, I think I grabbed mine on Amazon. I'll link it in the description if I can. And I really should do like the Amazon storefront thing so that I can link these things for you guys. I probably will at some point, but I'm just haven't got round to it yet. It's a work in progress, like a lot of the other things in my life. And I got it on there. You can get it too. It's, it's peanuts. And it's such a good book. And it is actually a bit woo-woo. You're probably going to think, what is she telling me to do? It's quite, write down your blessings, do this one day, it's 28 days of gratitude practice, and it's getting you into the habit of saying the magic words, thank you. And so gratitude has always been a thing of mine, but it used to be that I'd write down maybe 3 things to be grateful for. Now my gratitude practice is like a crazy implementing thing every morning, where I'm like really thinking about my blessings, really thinking about my gratitude and why I'm grateful, not just really surface level, oh, I'm grateful for the sunshine this morning because it's gorgeous, and the next day, oh, I'm grateful for the sunshine again because it's really pretty. No, this is about thinking of different things that I'm grateful for every single day, and it gives you more to be grateful for. One of the best things about this is not only does it shift you, we're talking about habits that shift you, of course, into like the motivation that you need for the day, but just this one alone will shift you into a positive mood straight away. And I'm not saying that you have to copy my habits. I'm not. You do you, boo. But what I am saying is that this particular one is really freaking good. Okay, it will shift you and it will bring you even more to be grateful for. Okay. The second thing is moving my body. Now, I might do these in different orders. It doesn't matter, but I might get up and go for a run. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably see that I pop it on my stories all the time. Been out for a run this morning, done a little 5K, happy days. I will move my body every single day. If I'm not doing a run, I'm at the gym. If I'm not at the gym, I'm having to do some yoga at the house, whilst little one is around me. It doesn't matter what I do. I try to move my body every day, and I have a habit tracker to do, like stack things like that. The other one is sleeping. I really do prioritize my sleep. Now, in your business, if you're not prioritizing sleep, by the way, you are going to suffer burnout at some stage. I have been there where I used to put everything else first. I used to be up all night. I used to think I was being productive. Let me tell you something. I was not. Like, I would much rather get 8 hours of sleep and wake up at the crack of dawn and get a little bit of work done. And I've done it both ways, by the way. I used to sit down of an evening, and don't get me wrong, you might have to if you've got really young kids and things. Maybe that is what you have to do. Maybe the kids are up or you're up in the night with children. That's completely different. But if you're in a position where you can sleep, definitely sleep, because I've done it both ways. And running my business when I get more sleep and get up earlier, say get up before the kids, do a bit of work then, those are the most productive hours of the day. I will get more done. I will feel better. And the results are always better. Always, always, always. I used to find myself when I'd stay up late doing things for the business and then having to just like redo them, or just it wasn't as productive as you think it might be. So that's another one, is I prioritize my sleep within my habits. And we don't need to get into all the nitty gritty, but it will be, you know, I literally have I stack my habits, like that I've done my wind down routine and that I've done made tomorrow easier type thing by getting things out for the morning. That, yeah, we don't need to go crazy with it, but if you know what I mean, you want to stack a few little things into that routine to prioritize your sleep. The other thing is, for me personally, again, like I said, it's all about my physical health and things. This is my nutrient dense foods or nutrient dense meals. I always prioritize this, and that is my core daily habits for personal. I am going to get into the business, by the way, just to give you some insight. The four, those kind of like, was that four? So yeah, gratitude, move my body, sleep, and nutrient dense meals. Those are my kind of 4 things, but within those I stack my habits. So for example, within nutrient dense food or nutrient dense meals, shall I say, there is like a little habit stacker in there that's take my supplements. It's, you know, cook this healthy meal, it's drink 4 litres of water a day, that type of thing. So you can see where I'm going with this, and those are my 4 core daily habits for personal life. And then I know I sound like I'm kind of just, you know, overbearing you with loads of habits and things, but then I literally take it into the week, and I'm like, I have a reminders list for the week. So I do a daily one, weekly, and you guessed it, I do monthly. So for the weekly habits for personal life, it's like the sauna twice a week, 2 runs a week, 2 gym sessions a week, and a Pilates class a week. You see where I'm going with this? There might be other things on there, but that is what I think is really key. And like we said at the beginning of this, these habits are everything. Your habits are shaping who you are. Now, I don't need to get into the nitty gritty of every single one of mine on there for the week, because you're not me and I'm not you. But what I'm saying is breaking it down like this and having that little productivity hack where you put them on reminders lists on your phone, something easy where you can look at it every day and be like, I've done that. And then you can refresh. It's so mind clearing. It is unreal. So I think that we should get into the business type of things. I didn't want to go crazy. I feel like I digress all the time. Let me know if this type of thing is helpful for you, by the way. I do want to be really real, raw, open and honest with you on this podcast. So let me know if this is the kind of thing that you're like happy to hear, or if you just think, no, Zara, please stop rambling on. So my core business habits. So I absolutely love these because I make my business tasks into this kind of habit. So like I said, it's like this reminder thing. So just to let you know as well, on my phone, I've got my personal ones and I separate my business ones and put them on my iPad, because recently what's happened, and I'm absolutely loving life, I'm like a kid at Christmas. One of my children, don't ask me why they had iPads, but they did. And in fact, I'll tell you, it was just because they had a Skype lesson after school every day. And now that's stopped. I took the iPads away. And my little boy, I took his iPad and now I have it for work. And I was like, this is a great opportunity for me to take some of my work off of my phone, because I am trying to reduce my screen time and reduce the time that I spend with my phone in my hand and my head down. It's doing nothing for my posture. Anyway, I put my reminders list for the business on my iPad now, so it's so much better. I can like just see them when I'm working, and I'll pull up the reminder. Well, it's on my home screen. I add the widget and I'll look at the day one and the week and the month, and this is just what I do. And my habits on there, for example, for the daily list are things like do the hardest thing first. So you might have heard of the book called Eat That Frog. It's about doing the toughest part of your to-do list first and getting it done and feeling better about it afterwards. So that's one thing. And under that, there has some habit stacks. And then I'll have things like creating and posting my content for the day, because that's a daily must-have if you're running this business. I mean, you don't have to show up daily, but I would recommend that you do, to maintain a good presence and get a good reach on these things called social media. So that's just my opinion. I don't always teach clients to do that. If you're in the membership, I might be teaching you to only do 3 or 4 posts a week, because that's your capacity. So it's entirely up to you. So if you're listening to this thinking, you big fat liar, Zara, you don't say daily. Now, you know where I'm coming from, people. I will let you do what you got to do within your capacity, because I think that's the best way to avoid burnout. Then there's things on there like continuous learning. So I've always got a mentor, or a coach, if you want to call it a coach, a business mentor who I'm in touch with on either a one-to-one basis or a group basis. So for me, it will be at least a 20-minute personal development session in the day, always, because I want to keep up to date with my knowledge to bring the best to my clients and bring the best to my business, basically, and make sure that I'm on track with all of the launches that I've got going on, or all of the, campaigns and things that I might have on email and stuff like that. So that goes on, and they help me with that. Also, really good community. And then it's things like my client check-ins every day, and my shutdown routine every single day, and things like that. So if you want, also, just to talk about the membership, if you want more of this in-depth stuff and my help for you to build these really good habit stack things out for yourself, I really would suggest the membership. That is where my members get the sort of best, I give them the best mindset tools that I've got in my toolkit in the membership. So mindset, habit stacking, confidence, all of that type of thing is inside the membership. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the 4-figure focus membership. It's the place to be for beauty business owners or service providers that want to earn 4 figures a week in part-time hours. That is where you need to be. The description and everything has the link, so you can have a look. Or if you want to have a chat about it, again, just DM me on Instagram. I'm at Zara King, and you can even DM me the word focus, and it will send you the link magically through ManyChat. But no, if you want to have a chat about it in all seriousness, then you can message me too, and we can talk about it. But in that membership is where I help people build these things out for themselves as well. Anyway, let's move on to the working week. So I have a list in the app, and it is called Optimal Work Week. So it might be, for example, that I record 2 podcast episodes. I send 2 emails. I'll go live once a week. When I'm doing that, I might not be doing that. It just depends on what's going on in the business at that time. So you have things that you put into this list, or however you want to do it. But I'm so obsessed at the moment with my reminders lists that I can tick off daily, digitally, and come back to. I'm really obsessed. Try it. Let me know if you like it. But I'm so obsessed with it. And they'll change. And what I love about it so much is that it's so visible. It's so easy to change, so easy to tick off and go back to again. I absolutely freaking love it. So I'll do that for the Optimal Work Week. Make sure you're making notes of this, guys. So also, let's just think about your beauty business, for example, right? What would your optimal work week look like? Same with the day, like I told you about 5 minutes ago. What would your daily routine or daily habits need to look like to be successful or to feel successful in your beauty business? Would it be you're posting once a day or not? Let's think about that. Would it be that you go onto the weekly one and you think, actually, it's 3 times a week, 4 times a week? Fine. Is it that you show up on your stories and sell every single day? Hint, hint. I think that's an absolute must for any business owner, is showing up on your stories every single day, talking to your audience and selling what you have to sell at least once a day, and do that in different ways every single day. I.e., sell one way one day, maybe it's an image with text over it and you're selling something and you're including social proof on top of that. And then the next day you're doing a talk to the camera story and you're talking about a client result, or you're talking about a popular treatment and the transformation, and you're talking about it in a way that's really tangible for your ideal clients. That is what I mean by doing it in different ways, but you do it every day. Story selling. That should be, not that I'm telling you what to do, but that should be one of your daily habits. I'm just saying. And then, for example, monthly CEO habits. My ones, for example, are looking at the revenue goals, refining those revenue goals, looking at the analytics, updating maybe my lead magnets, planning another collaboration, writing my articles and columns from scratch, doing something else, getting this project completed. What are your monthly CEO habits? Have a think about it. Is it that you do need to review the financials every single month? Okay, I think you should. I think you really should. Is it that you should pull a report off of what is the most popular service that month? Is it that we look at how we increase the client spend every single month? You see where I'm going with this? And the thing is about having these as habits, like I said at the beginning, is it will reduce your overwhelm in your brain. It will make mental space for other things, and it will allow you to have creative thoughts. When you are so caught up in the whole thinking of these things, of what you should be doing all the time, when you don't make it into like a habitual thing that you do on autopilot, it takes up so much more brain space, and you have to physically think about these things all the time and think fresh and think, what am I doing now? And that is why you probably find yourself going onto Instagram, scrolling to see what other people are posting in their content and thinking, I need to be posting something like that now, changing it up and doing it like that, and then burning yourself out and your stress levels go really high. That's another thing, actually, just to touch on. This is, you can tell me, leave reviews if you want to. Let me know how you think about these episodes. Leave comments, leave reviews. I love to hear. But basically, I have got this thing on my Apple Watch as well. You're probably bored of all these things. However, this thing on my Apple Watch, it tells me my stress levels. Can I just say, I'm absolutely fine. My stress levels are at the best when I'm recording content, when I'm doing work, when I'm in the zone. They're actually the best when you think my stress levels would probably be quite high because I'm working. It's completely not. My stress is great when I'm doing some work. However, when my kids interrupt me, different story. But what I want you to know is that as soon as I sit and scroll on Instagram, guess what happens? This is a real thing. I promise you, I kid you not. My thing goes off on my Apple Watch to tell me my stress levels are really too high and that I need to pay attention because I'm overwhelmed. Isn't it insane? I might not have even, well, to be honest, I'd never even noticed that before. I knew I used to look at it and compare myself and then get a little bit of imposter syndrome or a little bit of anxiety or a little bit of something. But I never really knew that there was a physiological effect inside my body happening that was actually releasing cortisol, like really increasing my stress hormones. I never knew. So I'm letting you know, because if you're like me and you never had a clue about that, download, I think it's called Stress Watch. If you've got an Apple Watch and you download the app, I think it's called Stress Watch. It will do that for you. And I bet you any money you will find the same, that when you look at social media and scroll and scroll and scroll for maybe more than 5 minutes, I bet you any money your stress levels go through the roof as well, like mine do. It's insane. And you'd think, I'm just sat on the sofa on my phone, but really I'm doing myself a disservice. So I just want you to know that. Where were we? So yes, this is what I want you to know, that stacking these things as habits and creating, instead of looking at these things as like, oh, how do I run my business? Oh, I've got to do this every month and have a meeting with myself and oh my goodness gracious me. Actually, let's just stack them as habits. Let's have daily, weekly and monthly habits that are everything and that just allow us to run on autopilot. And don't get me wrong, setting this up and thinking to yourself, what have I actually got to put on these lists at first and what should I start doing? Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of difficult work. It's going to be like concentration needed. But once it's done, it's done. And then you start practicing these specific ones and then you'll realize like, oh, I'm going to change that because I never really do that anyway. Or I'm going to add this on because actually that's more of a habit that I need to get into this habitual method instead of always thinking about it at the time and it becoming a nightmare. And if I'm not motivated, I don't do it. Do you see where I'm going with this? I'm hoping that all of this makes sense to you and that it's not just waffle, because to me it's really changed the way that I run my business, the way that I run my life. And back in the day, I know I've learned a lot about mindset and about habits and just everything. But the more you do it, the quicker you get at things. And then as soon as one thing clicks, you're like, I've got to tell people this because this is so much easier than the way I was doing it before, you know. And this is one of those things. I think habits are absolutely everything. They're going to shape you into who you need to be. They're going to shape your business into what you want it to be. You've just got to get those habits stacked into lists and sub lists and enjoy the process. And once it's done, don't waste another thought about these tasks. Like, do it habitually and trying to get into that place where you don't need motivation anymore because you're disciplined enough to remember that you're stacking these habits and you're doing these habits for yourself and your life and business, because you want to. And I know that some people will be like, oh my goodness me, I probably haven't got time to sit down and think about all of this. That's rubbish. Please don't let me hear it. You've got time. Let me see your screen time, okay? I'm not going to go into it any further than that. And the other thing is, this doesn't have to be perfect. As you can tell, I've waffled on for like 28 minutes and it isn't perfect. I'm just literally getting it all off my chest and telling you all exactly kind of what I do in a roundabout way. I have these lists, I tick them off, I use the widgets, I get really organized with it, and then they change. It doesn't have to be perfect. They're great at first and then they change, and then that's fine, because again, these habits still get deeply rooted in me, and they become so habitual. And the other things are, like my clients, for example, the one client that I told you about at the beginning of this episode, who I told about the widgets and having the reminders on the screen, she implements things like this now, and everything has changed for her. She's paying off her debts. She can live life now. Her business is paying her a wage now. Like, she can live. Whereas before, she thought she was running this business and really she had no money. She was in debt and she wasn't living life. Now she really is. Things are more on autopilot. And guess what? She's free. She hasn't got any more hours in the day. Obviously not. But she's now found the headspace and the capacity to build out an online space for her little community. How amazing is that? She's taking the next leap in her business because she's sorted out the things that she has to get done for the business she did have, which she does still have. She's a nail tech. So it just goes to show that when you do these things that feel a bit like, oh, that's hard work, that's too much organization at first, it can really, really serve you. And I think it has really changed me in the last, I would say, like 6 months. I would definitely say it's really, really changed me, because for the better, by the way, because I'm so much more creative with other things, because I know what's on those lists. I don't have to think about them because they're there. So visually, if I did forget, it doesn't matter. They're right there, and they turn into these habits that I will always do. I do have other ones as well. I've got ones for, like, I know it sounds silly, but things like supplements, or, I'm not going to bore you with all of that, but it's the power of it that I want you to know about. Making things a habit is going to free up your mental space, and you're going to feel so much better when you've accomplished it. When you've accomplished, like, you've cracked the code and you feel like, wow, things work on autopilot now. My business feels easier. It works for me. And life, by the way, like I said about fitness and all the rest of it, these things are going to feel so much better. So choose one habit. Choose one habit today and start now. Be consistent. Watch the energy shift. I literally think you should do that, and let me know how you get on, because there's no harm in trying. I really think it works. My clients really think it works, and I want you to try it too. Let me know if you can become disciplined like this, because there's also another quote that I want you to know, which is, no one became successful and then got disciplined. Okay, you have to be disciplined and then become successful. It has to be the other way around. Okay, if you do it, please let me know on Instagram. I want to know. Message me at Zara King. Make sure you follow me, and let me know. And also, please, if you've enjoyed this episode, please take a screenshot, pop it on your stories, and tag me. I love to know who's listening. I love to hear your thoughts. I want to know what you want to see on the podcast, or hear, should I say, on the podcast. And please, the other thing, I know I'm asking you for a lot this week, but please just like and review and do the thing. You can subscribe and do the thing. I always say do the thing. It's called follow, I think, on Spotify. Maybe it's called follow or subscribe on Apple Podcasts. I'm not 100% sure. But whatever platform you're listening on, please do me a favour and just press the follow button and leave a review. It really helps the podcast grow, which helps me get this out to more people. And I love you for it forever and ever. And if you are sharing to your stories and that, I always reshare. And I always say thank you, because I am so grateful for you for being here. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. I hope you've enjoyed this week, and I will see you on the next one.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained valuable insights that will help you in your beauty business and life. If you did, please take a screenshot and tag me in your stories. If you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me on any of my socials. The links are always in the descriptions. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you more and more great content. Until next time, keep building that business.